Let's be real for a moment. Every few years, there's another fish oil scandal. Some big report comes out exposing that a bunch of products on the market are underdosed, oxidized, or even contaminated. Maybe the supplement doesn't contain as much omega-3 as it says on the label, maybe it's full of rancid oil, or even traces of heavy metals. And the worst part, a lot of people keep taking these products thinking they're doing something good for their health, when in reality, they might be making things worse. So in this video, I want to show you what to actually look for in a high quality fish oil. Not just the usual marketing claims like pharmaceutical grade or ultra pure, but the real indicators of quality. Third-party testing, oxidation values, processing methods, and how to tell a good product from a bad one. First things first, why does quality even matter? What you have to understand is that fish oil is more like a food than a supplement. And just like fish will stink after a few days, the omega-3 fatty acids in fish oil are incredibly delicate. They're polyunsaturated fats, which means they oxidize easily, so they go rancid when exposed to heat, light, or air. Rancid oils not only smell bad and taste bad, but they cause oxidative stress in your body, which will mess with your cell membranes and deplete your vitamin E reserves. That's the opposite of what you want from something that is supposed to be anti-inflammatory and heart healthy. So getting the quality right really matters. Otherwise, you're not getting omega-3s, you're getting unstable, damaged fats that might hurt your health more than they help. To get the best quality product, let's start with the basics. No matter what brand you're looking at, there are 3 important things every decent fish oil should include. One is heavy metal testing. Fish naturally accumulates heavy metals like mercury, arsenic, cadmium, and lead from the environment, mainly through the water that they swim in and the food that they eat. The higher up on the food chain a fish is, the more of these toxic metals it tends to accumulate over time. That's why big fish like tuna, swordfish, or king mackerel are often flagged for high mercury levels. They live longer, eat smaller fish, and build up more contaminants in their body. This is one of the main reasons why high-quality fish oil doesn't come from those big fish. Instead, it's usually sourced from small, cold water fish like sardines, anchovies, mackerel, herring, and menhaden. These fish are much lower on the food chain, grow quickly, and don't live as long to accumulate large amounts of heavy metals. But even with those cleaner fish, contamination is still possible. That's why you want to see proof that the final product has been tested for heavy metals. The best brands will send every batch to independent labs for third-party testing, and they'll usually display the results somewhere on their website or offer them when you request them. Helpful phrases that you could look for on their website or the product itself would include things like tested for heavy metals, IFOS certified, or GOED certified. Now, even such supplement certification organizations have had scandals in the past, but it's definitely better than nothing. So if the label says nothing about heavy metal testing and the company doesn't offer a certificate of analysis when you ask for it, that's a red flag. In that case, it's safe to assume that they either didn't test it or didn't like the results. Next, you want to look for low oxidation, so low TOTOX. TOTOX stands for total oxidation value. It's a number that combines several markers that tell you how much oxidation has already occurred in the oil. The average TOTOX value in one study of fish oil was around 23 for over-the-counter products, which isn't great. Generally, the lower the better, and under 10 is ideal, under 20 is okay, and anything over, let's say, 26 is considered poor quality or rancid. Like I said before, this matters because highly oxidized omega-3s can damage your cell membranes, increase inflammation, and deplete antioxidants like vitamin E. So always look for companies that share their TOTOX values. The only problem here is that some companies will test TOTOX before processing and some after, and you can kind of fake low results the sooner you test. So ideally, the company you're looking to buy from will list the TOTOX value of the end product, but very few companies share when exactly they tested, so it might not be possible to ask for it depending on where you live and what companies you have available. The last thing to look out for are junk ingredients like unnecessary fillers or anything that will artificially improve shelf life or cut costs. Here you want to look out for things like unstable vegetable oils like sunflower or soybean oil, which are high in omega-6 and defeat the purpose of an omega-3 supplement, synthetic antioxidants like BHA or BHT, and some people also don't like vitamin E in their fish oil. This is added as an antioxidant since it slows down the oxidation of the fish oil, and even though this is a good idea, most companies only add synthetic alpha-tocopherol, which is just one form of the vitamin E complex, which naturally comes in many mixed tocopherols and tocotrienols. I explained this problem in more detail in my video on vitamin E, and some companies are aware of this, so they now add a full spectrum vitamin E as an antioxidant. Great, with these basics out of the way, let's talk processing. This is where things get a little more complicated. Let's talk about how most fish oil is actually processed and why the methods matter for quality, absorption, and oxidation. As you now know, most fish oil comes from the leftovers of small cold water fish like sardines, anchovies, or herring. That's not necessarily a bad thing. These fish are rich in EPA and DHA and reproduce very quickly, which makes them more sustainable. But what happens next can make or break the product. The most common method is called cooking and pressing. Basically, the fish are heated close to boiling, which causes proteins to coagulate. The oil is then separated and refined using a mix of chemical solvents like hexane or methanol. This helps concentrate the EPA and DHA content, but it also generates toxic waste and can damage the oil's delicate structure. One major problem with this kind of processing is that it randomly rearranges the fatty acid molecules. In natural fish fat, omega-3s are attached to the middle SN2 position of the glycerol backbone. But after industrial processing, they often get pushed to the outer positions, so SN1 and SN3. These are less stable, and some research indicates that these forms are harder for your body to absorb. So what you're left with is a concentrated oil that looks very good on paper, but is chemically altered, more prone to oxidation, and maybe less bioavailable. So if you really want a top quality fish oil, look for ones that use gentle, low heat and solvent-free extraction, or is called cold pressed. This will keep the fatty acids in their natural position, so the SN2 position, which means they're better absorbed in the gut, more stable during digestion, less likely to oxidize, and more likely to reach your brain and cell membranes. Basically, the oil stays closer to how it exists in nature. Such a fish oil will also be in its natural triglyceride form instead of the ethyl ester form, which is more concentrated, but also pretty controversial. The last thing we should talk about is the packaging. Here you have capsules or liquids. Liquids let you smell and taste the oil, which is a plus because you will immediately know if it's rancid. Capsules hide the flavor, but also mask the freshness. You will often hear the argument for capsules because they protect the fish oil from oxidation. This is true in theory, but it only really works if the capsules are airtight and properly sealed, stored away from heat and light, and packaged and handled correctly during manufacturing and then shipping. Also keep in mind that capsules have a larger surface area exposed to the air per volume of oil, especially compared to liquid fish oil that is stored in an airtight dark glass bottle. So if you imagine a bottle with 100 capsules, now you have 100 tiny containers with individual exposure risks, especially if the capsules are slightly porous and not perfectly sealed. Because of this, and because capsules are usually more expensive than their liquid counterparts, I usually go with liquid fish oil. But this also depends on personal preference. So go with what you prefer as long as you can make sure the product is as fresh as possible. To wrap up this video, let me say that a good fish oil can be an amazing supplement, but only if it's produced correctly. You're taking it to reduce inflammation, to support your brain, heart, and hormones, not to load up on oxidized fats or toxic metals. Because I want this video to come across as unbiased, I'm not going to recommend any specific brands. But if you want to know what I take, check out my video on cod liver oils, where I go over my favorite brands. Also, don't forget to check out the video description for more free resources and my programs. They will help you if you're looking for step-by-step systems on topics such as diet planning, detox, and chronic fatigue recovery, and to avoid the most common beginner mistakes that I see people making all the time. For more info, just open the description. It will all be listed there.